Can we
Yeah, ma'am,
start?
I'm available.
Yeah, right. So good afternoon, welcome back. Now we have a session by Dr. Mohammed Javed, an assistant professor from IIIT Allahabad. And he'll be speaking on teaching, learning, and assessment practices in programming and algorithms. Now, may I request Chandan to introduce the guest, please?
Yes, ma'am. Education is the most powerful instrument that can change the world. So, by seeking the blessings of the Almighty, it is certainly an honor to introduce the speaker of the session, Dr. Mohammed Javed, Assistant Professor in the Department of Information Technology at the Indian Institute of Information Technology, Allahabad. He's been a man of great academic achievement and exemplary performance through his student years. He is an alumnus of Sri Jayachamrajendra College of Engineering, Mysore, with BE in Computer Science and Engineering, and was also a first ranker in MTech from the University of Mysore. He's been conferred with PhD from University of Mysore with his research work on the possibility of processing document images in the compressed domain. Having about 10 plus years of academic and research experience in various capacities, today he's established himself as an excellent academician. His areas of research include image processing and pattern recognition, document image analysis, computer vision, data compression, and in the fields of artificial intelligence and data mining. Dr. Mohammed Javed has published about 30 plus research articles across national and international journals and has delivered lectures at multiple seminars, workshops, and conferences both in India as well as abroad. He has worked on the research and development project, which is pertaining to the protection of women against cybercrime and also protection of children against cybercrime, which is funded by the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. And he is also awarded the SAR-SERB SERB DST Young Scientist Travel Grant for attending the IEEE Data Compression Conference held at the United States. To top it all, he has worked as a principal investigator for the project titled Paperless Digital Evaluation of Student Answer Scripts at NITE and is also a reviewer for many journals including IEEE, Elsevier, etc. Today, we get an opportunity to listen to Dr. Mohammed Javed delivering a lecture on teaching, learning, and assessment practices in programming and algorithms. So, with immense pleasure and pride, and also considering myself as a junior of his, I'd love to welcome him to the show, to the session. And sir, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandan, for for maybe it is exaggeration.
You deserve all of that. You deserve that.
Yeah, okay. So thank you, Dr. Vanishi, and also I thank the principal of SGCE and our honorable director, IIIT Allahabad, Professor P. Nagbhushan sir, for guiding, for mentoring this workshop. And also I'm glad that I'm also means means I'm also giving a lecture in this particular workshop. So the basic topic, I'll share my screen.
Uh, Dr. Javed? It's hanging. Javed, I think there's some issue. There must be some issue with Dr. Javed. He'll be back in a moment.
Yeah, I'm sorry that there was some network
Yes.
problem from my side.
Yes,
So,
Javed, please continue.
so I'm sharing my screen. So is my screen visible?
Yes, Javed, go ahead.
Okay. So the topic of today's lecture is teaching learning practices. Okay, teaching learning and assessment best practices in CS and IT courses, specifically computer programming and design and analysis of algorithms. So the main takeaway from the today's presentation, am I audible? Just I want to confirm.
Yeah, you are audible, Javed.
Am I audible?
You are audible, yes. Yeah. Go ahead, Javed. It's hanging again. We're unable to hear you.
Hello. Yeah. So there is some problem. I don't know what is happening. It is disconnecting me.
Yeah, it's hanging, Javed.
I don't know why. What is the problem here? Anyway, so just call me when if there is any mistake, because I'll not see this one, the connection message. So please call me if it
Yeah.
disconnects. Okay, please.
Yeah.
Is it okay now? Can you see?
It's visible, Javed. You're audible too. Please
Yeah.
continue.
So the main takeaway from this presentation is that there are few NEP pointers, okay, which may be appropriate to us to CS and IT courses, and some best practices, my experiences I'm going to share, and I'm also going to share you some questions, or which we can the sample questions which we can prepare, so that we can inculcate creative thinking and lot many good things in students. Okay, so creative course contents and how to motivate students to think, and some pointers to problem solving. Why problem solving? Because problem solving is the key in computer science or IT. So the basic coming to the NEP 2020 pointers, okay, which are more appropriate for the CS and IT courses. The first one is to reduce the monologue, means reduce monologue and increase the dialogue. I think the morning from the last two lectures in the morning we had means we were given hint that we should reduce the L component, right? The L component is a lecture component. So reduce the monologue, reduce the teaching hours, and increase the dialogue. Dialogue means increase the T and P sessions. So it is tutorials as well as the practical sessions we have to increase. Reduce monologue and increase the dialogue. Second pointer is that increase the participation of students, that is you decrease the LRs and we have T is the transaction. I think morning our directors have said that T stands for transaction. How we transact with the students, right? How the students transact among themselves. So, and P is the participation. So participation may be maybe in the form of group assignments or any other activity which we can plan. So third pointer is a technology blend in teaching and learning process. We must inculcate this one, and in our course design or the in our lectures, we should bring multidisciplinary ideas, assignments, maybe multidisciplinary projects, internship. So these should be given much priority. And in NEP, in National Education Policy, student becomes the main player. The job of the teacher is enabling learning, whereas the student has all the flexibility. He can choose the courses he want to study, he want the projects, the internship he want, and the and also in National Education Policy you have multiple entry and multiple exits. So if he's not interested in one college, he can go for the first year. If he's not interested, then in the second year he can go for some other college. So there would be credit transfer and all these things would be possible. Multiple entry and multiple exits. That is how our program or means the B curriculum should be designed. But I'm not going to discuss these things. The last part, multiple entry, multiple exit, these things are not discussed here. Whereas my intention would be to focus on the courses, how to create and interactive and more creative contents, such a way that the classroom becomes it becomes more active, right, and participatory. So I begin the slides with a quote from our Rabindranath Tagore ji. So a lamp can only light another lamp when it continues to burn in its own flame, right? So we have to, being a teacher, our roles and responsibilities are very huge, right? So we have to burn ourselves such a way that we are able to kindle the young minds, the young brains who come in contact with us. Okay, so that is the role of teaching here. And now the teaching role of teaching is now enabling learning. So teaching is not that we come to the classroom and give some information, share some information. No, it is not. We have to ensure that through the entire course, the student is able to learn, right? Is able to learn as much as possible, and he becomes confident. Whatever he learns, he is able to apply. So that is the key thing we have to ensure. And for that, to enable learning, we have to design, right? We have to design what kind of what contents to teach. Okay, what contents to give him as a tutorial or to give him the as a practicals. All these things should be designed properly. So role of teaching, teaching is also learning. We must understand that teaching is also learning. We learn more when we try to teach to others, right? So that is the key. And teaching simply means the philosophy of the subject or the topic taught should reach the students. Okay, the philosophy of the subject, the philosophy of the course should or the topic which is being taught should reach the students. So always see, whenever before starting the class, let us so before starting the to talk about some topic, we must always bring some real world examples. We can show them some demos or some videos, something like that, to make the class more more interactive, okay, more lively. So in other words, it should be simplified. Means the teacher's role should be that the course which is being taught should be simplified in a manner which is easy for the students to digest the concepts. It is not that whatever is available in the internet, whatever is available in the textbooks, we copy the same thing and then comment come and read in the classroom or come and discuss in the classroom. No, it is not. It should not be like that. Our responsibility should be that we have to being a teachers, we should read more, okay, and we should simplify the things as per our capacity, and then we should give it to the students such a way that they are able to digest it very easily. And that too, still going further, that too we should ensure that because in a classroom there are students with different learning capabilities, so we must ensure that the students, right, whatever we teach, that should reach, right, that should reach to all class of students, all class of students which are who are attending the course. So focus on problem solving. So this is also very, very important, that our the entire course, right, see, we the whole idea behind behind the CS and IT courses is that we should make the students problem solvers, because whatever the problem they are solving in the classroom, they might not get the same thing after 4 years, because the world is changing at a rapid pace. So they might come across different problems, and which require different solutions, right, different perspective. So our whole idea is to make them confident and make them problem solvers. So a teacher must be a researcher. In the our director sir morning said that a teacher must be a researcher. So why one should be a researcher? Because we have to stay up to date, right? We have to stay up to date. We have to bring new ideas. Okay, we have to bring the ideas from software engineering into design and analysis of algorithms. We should bring ideas from database management system into the computer programming. So all those borrowing of ideas, sharing of ideas should take place, and relate the things around in teaching. So this is very, very important. We must be able to, whenever we are reading any news or any news, means we are going through any news, so we should be able to relate the things, maybe the course contents or whatever topic we are teaching, we should be able to relate it to the current scenario. That should be the key. And start the concept with an application. So this is very, very important, that we should always what can I say, that we should always try to start any idea or any content with an application, such a way that the student feels that this is an interesting topic, and I can if I learn this, then it will be much beneficial to me. So here, make the basics very clear. So the basics of the course, the fundamental of the course should be very, very clear. Effective teaching requires proper planning and organizing of the teaching contents. So our responsibility is that we properly plan the contents. Okay, which topic, like for a course might have different topics, right? Different topics. So which topic should be taught first, right? Which should be not as per the as per the writing of the book, or as per the writing of someone else. No, we should critically analyze that how the content should be planned and how it should be delivered to the students. Okay, and also ensuring that the students, whatever I tell, they should understand. That is very important. Teaching, learning go together. So teaching, learning go together. So when I teach, I learn a lot. The role of teaching, learning. So this is one example, one slide which I have taken from my own course, mathematics for IT, CS and IT, which I teach here at IIIT Allahabad for the master students. So I was going through the lecture of Gilbert Strang and some other the video tutorials also. So I found that people have tried to explain what is Ax equal to B, right? The fundamental equation of the linear algebra, Ax equal to B. So then, I thought that why let us make this the explanation of Ax equal to B in a more illustrative way. So I thought that we have the concept of RGB colors, right? RGB colors. When we try to mix those colors, we get different colors, right? So here so this is the color combination. We can see that RGB, through which when we try to mix them, right? We get this color space, right? Magenta, yellow. So can we bring this concept into the linear algebra, right? So that's what I was thinking, and then okay. So then this you can see that Ax equal to B. Suppose A is a matrix where I have one column, right? So one column of red, you think that it is just a number, okay? 25, 25, 25, something like that. So this is also, I think, in the matrix there is a number, but here I have shown with the help of a color. You can see that, okay? So the column is of the same color here, the red, green, and this is the blue, and we have here the unknowns, right? X1, X2, X3, and we have the known on the right side, that is Ax equal to B, right? We have, so now suppose we know B, right? We know A and we know B. Now what will be the value of X1, X2, X3, right? So here simply you can understand that Ax equal to B, if this is the equation here, then in order to get this B, this X1 should be 1, X2 should be 0, and X3 should be 0. So that is how we can see that what is the okay, we can so if you go deep into that, it is actually mapping, right? It is mapping this A and getting this value as B here, okay, in terms of the unknowns X1, X2, X3. Similarly, if we can have X equal to X equal to B as this same A here, and the B as here blue color, so then X1 would be 0, X2 would be 0, and X3 would be 1. So now I ask you the question that what will be if I bring this magenta, right? The magenta, right? Here, if I bring here magenta color here, so what would be the value of X1, X2, X3 here? So that we can now try to understand this. So this column together, right? So here the magenta color is a combination of red and blue. Okay, red and blue. So here this would be the here X would be the 1, X2 would be the 0, and X3 would be the X3, which is blue color, it will be the 1. So similarly, we can have, if you take white color here, if you take a white color here, then we see that X1, X2, X3 should be equal to 1. So that's all. See, this is just an idea I'm giving. I'm not trying to explain you X equal to B here, but I'm trying to give you that we should be able to bring the innovative the ideas. Whatever we read, we should be able to relate, correlate the things, and try to present to the students in this way. So that is the key thing here. And role of teaching learning from students' perspective, teaching should be entirely focused on students' learning ability and his or her overall development. This is very, very important, that whatever the contents we design, it should be simplified, and that should be well understood by the students. A student will learn only if a teacher can create curiosity within the student for the subject or the course. This is very, very important. If the teacher can create the curiosity, then learning would be more. You tell the student, tell him or her how this is going to benefit him in the projects, right? In the final year or in the third year, how it is going to help him in the placements, jobs, research, and future life. So all these things should be built up, and then the curiosity for the course should be built up. Always start with the lecture. Always start the lecture with the material the student would be more interested in. Like in today's world, the students also read newspapers. They also read the magazines and listen to news, right? So they also listen the keywords like data science, ML, DL, and now we are seeing that there is a specific program on AI and ML, right? So now the admission for AI ML is more because the students they come across these buzzwords, and the industry people are recruiting in this specialized areas. So there is a demand. So so in our course, we should always try to correlate these things, right? To bring these ideas that how this is going to help you in this particular field in data science, ML, and how can you get more job opportunities in these particular areas. See, our intention is not to make them job ready, but our intention is that to make them aware that these are the fields, okay, whatever the topic you are learning, that will be useful in these particular domains. That is the intention here. So role of teaching, learning, assessment, reduce teaching, enable learning. So we should reduce the teaching and we should enable learning, give them more assignments, the practical sessions. Okay, so here at IIIT Allahabad, we have LTP structure as 211, right? 211. So here 2 hours of lecture for any course we take. At max, I think at max we take 2 hours per week. That is sufficient. Other all time the student spends in tutorials as well as the practice sessions. Okay, so that is more important. Focus on practical things, problem solving, live projects, etc. Make the student work, keep him or her mind busy. So this is very, very important. We should not tell them, we should not overload them, but indirectly we should make them work for the entire week. So what we do is that at IIIT Allahabad, what we try to, so 2 hours of lecture would consist of an assignment, and for that assignment you would be given 1 week of time to do that, right? And that involves both thinking as well as the coming up with the new idea or something like that, or if it is not purely new, then you need to do a lot of learning and then come up with a solution, implement it, and then you present it. I'll come to the assessment part later on, because there are some slides for that, how we carry out the assessment. I think that will be very useful to you. So make the student work. Okay, so 2 hours of lecture, but the student is mentally busy for the entire week, right? So he's busy, he's thinking that what solution and should I come up with this one. So he would be discussing, he would be referring to books, and he would be coding. All these things would happen here. So this is applicable to all the courses. You can make like morning the discussion came that how to make a theory. See, there is nothing called as theory. Everything is practicus, because if there is no use, then why one person should study the theory, right? So everything is practical. Everything is practical. Only thing is that, see, if we go through the what can I say, the exercise problem, you take any textbook you take, you go through the exercise problems of any textbook. Simply you will see that those are the problems, those are the case studies which are very much useful if the student is trying to implement them or learn them. And sometimes if we try to go through them, even we find difficult to solve those problems. So a teacher, what a teacher should do is that the teacher should take such a problems, even though you might not knowing the answer for that. So you can just make a group of students and then try to give the question to them in such a way that you will see that after 1 week they would come with the wonderful answers, and that will be a learning to a teacher. Okay, that will be a learning to a teacher. See, I'm not telling that the teacher should not know. I'm not telling like that, but it is a learning experience for the teachers through the students. Okay, and the learning should happen such a way that during the examination, when the student, or the review test, when the student writes the answer, the learning should happen to the teacher, not that same answer is replicated by all students. Okay, so such should be the question paper, and such should be our attitude in learning from the students. So on the other hand, a teacher can spend more time in thinking. So now when your teaching work is reduced, so now you spend more time on the other work, right? Teachers can spend more time on thinking, planning, creating new contents, referring to any MOOC courses, listening to video tutorials, experts, or the latest developments. So all those things is possible, and now you try to correlate that. So here, this is very, very important that for researcher, it is not mandatory that you should have a PhD degree. It is not. See, in our life, we are always, means everyone is researcher in his own life, right? So we always, if some problem comes to us, then we try to work out, okay, why this problem has happened to me, and then we try to figure out some solution, and we ensure that that same problem should not appear in coming future, right? So we are researchers, right? And then we should bring this research attitude into our teaching. That is the only lacking. So we should do that. So role of teaching learning in this creative example in Dartmouth. So if you have been teaching this design and analysis of algorithm course in computer science and IT courses, then you would have come across the concept called as searching, right? Searching is a very sorting and searching, right? So this is very interesting example. So I have put this one slide just to explain you that how can we relate the problem of searching as an kingfisher means a kingfisher search problem, right? A kingfisher. So what is the idea? Before going into the technical things, I would like to see how does a kingfisher it catches the fish. So the kingfisher keeps on flying, right? Above the water, it keeps on flying, almost like it keeps on flying, and then as soon as it sees the fish underwater, then it suddenly jumps, and with 99.99% you can say almost 100% that you could definitely come up with a fish in its beak. So that is the idea. And now how can you correlate this one? So similar idea now is applicable to a searching algorithm. This searching algorithm is called the intelligent search algorithm. Okay, intelligent search. So here what we do is that we have a bunch of numbers, suppose n numbers we have. What we do is that we sort these numbers. Okay, we sort these numbers, and then we try to fix a linear regression, or we can say that a regression line onto this n number, means n data, right? So we get a linear equation. We get a y equal to mx plus c. We get it here. You can see that for this particular sample data here, y equal to mx. This is the m. This is x value plus this is the c constant. So here this is a searching algorithm which works exactly just like a kingfisher. Okay, searching for a fish. Okay, so so here, for example, you got this equation. After you fix this regression line, you will get the equation of the line. And here, what is our intention? What is the input? The input is here is the y value. The input is the y value. Input is a y value, and we have to find the location x here. You can see here, right? X is a location. Now you want to search whether 22 is there in this in this database. So if you substitute this key y equal to 22 here, and then when you solve this equation, suddenly you will, within fraction of seconds, you will get the answer that this is that this element is present or not present. The only thing is that you have to do, in case the element is not there, right? You need to do some one or two movement on upward search or downward search you have to do, but it is almost a constant time algorithm. Okay, so this is see why I am showing this slide is that you have to make the concepts, sorting concepts, searching concepts very is more interactive. So that is the idea here. So here and so in the conventional assessment, now coming to the assessment part, normally what happens in the conventional university based system, it tests only the memory. So we are being forced to learn, learn through the memory, and then just whatever we have learned, we just omit on the answer script, right? And then you get the marks. You are declared as pass or fail. So that is what it tests only memory. It is rote based learning, and I think you might have noticed that the practical is separated from the course, which is very bad, right? See, all course, the theory and practice both should go together, right? So it should go together. So in the morning, in the morning inaugural talk, our directors had said that knowing and doing, we have to the bridge between the knowing and the doing. Okay, so this should be linked, right? So this should be linked. Both should go together. So what we have, so what is the solution? The solution is that we have to go for multi-mode assessment. We have to test not only memory, we have to test some other things, right? His presentation skill, writing skill, okay, his programming skill, okay, his defending skill, all those things we have to set. And how it is possible? It is possible by giving some by doing a proper assessment. Okay, so the assessment here, the assessment, one should ensure that we have to give creative problems. Please see, if you can give problem, if you can create problem, then it is very means it is very good on your part. If we lack, if you are behind that, then we can use some material, and then we can try to at least extrapolate those questions and give to the students. So here the assessment can be in teamwork. Okay, so teamwork, if we give these kind of assignments, right, the teamwork assessment, so it would test your leadership skills, it would test your writing skills, implementation skills, analyzing skills, presentation skills, organizing skills, defending skills. Okay, now I'll come to the type of assignments which we give here, and I'm telling that all these skills, whatever the assignment we give here, all these skills are tested in that particular one single assignment, right? So cooperation skill, management skills, appreciation skills, dependency skills, time management, resource management, research skills. So all these things, all these components are included in that 1 week assignment. Okay, in that 1 week assignment. So let me. So I have shown. I have brought you some sample questions. I will try to show you that how we can have. So in the review test, I think morning our directors have already told you that in the a review test can be some creative problems, or it can be some means it can be a single single person single candidate test, or it can be a group test. So that depends. And there are two types of review test which we can say that we can have. So first type of test is plan and execute. So what is the meaning of plan and execute? See, the syllabus is known here. In the plan and execute, the syllabus is known to the student that this is what is it is going to be asked, and we give a question paper, and we give a time that this is within 1 hour. This is what you are 1 hour, or we can give it for 24 hours. Right. So at IIIT Allahabad, what we try to do is that in this plan and execute, what we try to give is that suppose we call the students, all the students, at 4 p.m. in the evening, and then we prepare the question paper, and we give the means we give one question to every student, means one question to each student we try to give them, and then tell them you disappear for 24 to 36 hours. Okay, wherever you want to go, you want to be in hostel, you want to be in library, you want to go home and come back on after 36 hours, you can go back, and after 36 hours you come here and you submit your answer script. Okay, so this is what he is having 36 hours, he is having 24 hours. So this is an exam, this type of assessment is a plan and execute. You have a 24 hours time, right? You have 36 hours of time. So you are free to refer any textbook, you can refer any the author of the book, or whatever you can refer. So this is this kind of assignment, or you can take this plan and execute as 1 week assignment. So here you have sufficient time to plan. And on the other hand, we have a test called crisis handling. So in this crisis handling, what we do is that we give them a test. So in this, one very important thing which we try to do is that suppose a student, means a good student can solve 5 problems in 1 hour. So what we do is when we prepare a question paper, we do not prepare 5 questions. We keep 7 to 8 questions, because to build the pressure on the student. So we know that the student can solve only 4 to 5 maximum questions in 1 hour. But purposefully, what we do is that we tell that we give 7 to 8 questions, and then tell that all questions are compulsory. Okay, and there is no choice. So all questions are compulsory. So what we what happens here? So the student will be under pressure, right? Within 1 hour, he has to attempt all these 8 questions, and there is no choice, right? So, and there is one strategy here. What we do is that though we have not given any choice, that out of 7 or 8 questions, right? We have not given any choice here. But during evaluation, what we try to do is that we take best 2 answers, right? So that is decided once we see the answer scripts of all the students, right? We see the best performance and the average performance, the worst performance we see, and then we decide that no, because the performance this side is not good. So what we can do is that we can take best 2 answers. So out of 8 questions, you can see that we are taking only best 2 answers, right? So there are different strategies which we can apply once the this one. So this is an example of an crisis handling which we can give to the students. So I'm showing you one simple example here of the design and analysis of no, sorry, this is in case of introduction to programming course here in the first semester. This is a first semester course in CS and IT courses. So I would like to tell you that the students who come here to IIIT Allahabad, they are very good students. Means they have cleared the IIT JEE and they are very competitive. So the first thing, a teacher now, me being a teacher, so I want them to be humble, right? So I want to make them humble. They should not think that I have cracked the world's toughest exam and then I have come here and I got in IIIT Allahabad, and then after 4 years I would be earning 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs, 40 lakhs of salary. So that should not come into their means. That should not be there in their mind, right? So to make them humble, so that is the engineer. So what we try to do is that I try to so in my course what I try to do is that I give them some sample means some questions which are very tough, right? So it is so what my experience in this course is that, see, first when you see these questions it seems to be very tough. But the student, I see that once I give these questions to the students, they come back to me and they start asking, sir, can this problem be done in this way or in this way, or whether this is a solution. So after 7 or 8 days of constant thinking on these ideas, I see that they come up with very interesting ideas, right? So the some sample problems which I give them is that, so in the first lecture what I do is that I try to teach them what is problem solving and then give some case studies, right? So and after that we try to give them the simple assignment. Okay, simple. So this is an assignment where you have to find the area of the shapes like circle, square, rectangle, triangle, equilateral triangle, all these things. But the catch here is that without using the formula. So I tell them, so you have cleared all the joint entrance exam and now you are so brilliant and you know all the formulas. So now my intention is that now you forget that you know the formula. So I just ask them a question that before the formula was discovered, right? The formula was discovered, what people were doing to find the area of square, area of circle, area of rectangle, right? So this type of questions, and you have to perform multiplication operation, division operation without using the multiplication operator, without using the division operator, right? You have to find you define what is the okay, you assume that 2 points are given, x1 y1, x2 y2, right? Find the distance. So these are some questions which is exclusively meant to make them think, right? Even though if they do not come up with a solution, no problem, but let them think what research and what searching you did for these many days, right? You come and present. So these kind of questions we try to give to the students. Okay, and okay, so this is the first assignment which we try to give that. And we see that after 6 or 7 days, the student submits the solution, the assignment answers. We see that lot of interesting ideas they bring here. So if you have any doubts here, you can ask me, or we can take at the end of the session. Okay, regarding this. So creative test questions in case of a programming. So now that was about the assignments. Now what about the question paper questions? Now you see that. So this is the sample question which I have test question here, which I have taken here. You can see that now the learning should happen in the question paper also. Means when they take the review test, the learning should happen. So here example which I have given is that you are aware that you are aware of a calculator used to operate taking numerical values. We have already seen. However, the problem here is to design and implement a string calculator. Now, my idea is to take them from a numerical calculator to the string calculator with the following operations listed below using C program, or let S1, S2 be the two strings here. So your calculator should do S1 plus S2. It's very simple, but the way the way to put, you should be able to put it in a different way. Okay, so if you have S1, you have S2. When you press S1 plus S2, this should happen, but it should happen through C program. The question is that it should happen through C program. How S1, S2? If you press and then if you press plus, the answer should, even you press equal to S1 plus S2, string should be displayed. Okay, so this is one sample example. Questions which you can prepare here. So now here there is one more question which I have taken here. Suppose that you have been given 10-page Microsoft Word document written in English, where one can write. See here, the student might not be knowing how to read a file, but let him think that the file is available. Okay, if he doesn't know to read the Word file from the programming, let him assume that the file is already available. Okay, and the reading function is already available, and you perform all these things, number of pages. See, our intention is that to make them problem solvers. You have to focus on the problem. You assume that the page is available, it is readable, some function is already available. Now you solve this problem. Display the number of pages written or utilized in 10-page document. Count the number of paragraphs in the whole document. This is the key. Okay, this is where he has to put his intelligence. How he will understand what is the number of lines or number of paragraph, number of sentences, right, number of errors, all these things. Now we know that the Microsoft Word, when we have some mistake in the in our text, it displays with red color. So how many are there in the red color? How many errors I have made? So all those things we should be able to, and display the word count in the document, display the number of uppercase characters used in the document. So all those things, you see here I have already given. Assume that you have already C library function to open, close, read and write. All these things are already available to you. You need not worry about that. Okay, so this type of questions which you can plan here. Role of teaching, this is the, so this is the sample assignment which I have see here. See, before going into this, see what we are so after 2 hours of lecture we give an assignment, right? We give assignment, and for that assignment we give a problem statement. We give a very what can I say is that we give them a very simple problem statement. We try to give in our own sentence, but the students, what they have to do is they have to think on the problem statement which we have given and come up with a nice title, right? They have to bring their own title, and so the assignment submission should be in the professional format, not the normal typing. It should be in the IEEE format. So now we teach students how to write IEEE papers, right, through assignments. So now we can see that. So when you, I think you are all teachers, you might be knowing what is an IEEE paper. It should be 2-column. It should have an affiliation. It should have a title. It should have the abstract. It should have keywords, introduction, methodology, experiments. For every assignment, these parts are mandatory. You should have proper references, right? So all those things. Now you imagine, I told that through assignments, what all qualities which you can teach to the students. So now when we take this one, now if you take references, so now the student learns here how to how to acknowledge, right? How to appreciate your contemporary or your past research, means whatever the literature is available, we should be able to appreciate by citing in our papers. So all those things here is, I think this might not be available because it is in different folder. I think I will show you too. If you are interested, I would show you after this lecture here. Okay, I think this might not work link, so I'm not clicking here. Creative assignments. So in case of, so that was with respect to the introduction to programming, and now with respect to design and analysis of algorithms here. So now let us take some questions from here. So here the first question here. Okay, for each problem you are supposed to do the best case, average case, and worst case analysis. The proposed algorithm must be clearly explained and neatly written. Try to show and compare the experimental results with the help of tables and suitable graph. Okay, so all those things he should include in the IEEE 2-column IEEE format. He has to write, he has to submit, and for that 1 week he is been given. And now you can see that the question number 1, we give some plain statement, design an algorithm. See, it is a question mark here. So design an algorithm to check whether a given number is prime or not. Design an algorithm to check whether a given number is a Fibonacci number or not. If a given number is not a prime, design an algorithm to locate the nearest prime number. So see here, see, finding a prime number is a already well-known problem, right? It's already well-known problem. So now you can see that the creative questions there. If a given number is not a prime number, then design an algorithm to locate the nearest prime number. So now this is how you have to bring your creative skills here. So if a number is not a Fibonacci number, design an algorithm to find the nearest Fibonacci number. So design an algorithm to check the given number is exact square number or not. Okay. So this kind of problems can be created in all types of problems. So like for example, if you take sorting algorithm, okay, if you take a sorting algorithm, you give them see, bubble sort is well-known algorithm. So now you don't give them directly. You tell them that, see, for the bubble sort algorithm, the input is unsorted array, right? Unsorted, and the output is a sorted array. First question you ask that, suppose a sorted array is given to you, what will be the time complexity of your bubble sort? Okay, what will be the time complexity of a bubble sort if half of the array is sorted? First half part is sorted, second half part is sorted, or 1/4 is sorted. Okay, so all these are, it is sorted in the descending order. Half is in ascending, half is in descending. What kind of strategies you are going to apply, right? So you can do tweaking with each and every, just we need to think that how can we tweak this question and give it in a more such a way that the student should not be able to get it directly from the internet, right? He should at least apply his thinking. He will get the code, but he has to understand the code for him to modify that, right? He has to modify that, but to modify he has to understand. So learning would happen automatically. We should not copying is not wrong, but if he understands and he defends properly, he modifies that one, then it is okay. Means he has really done learning, right? So that should be appreciated. Similarly, the creative test questions, you can see here that I have taken some questions from the DA course, which is been taught in the 4th semester here. Here, assume that heap, right? We already know heap. So assume that we have a heap of n elements. We have found the root contains the maximum element, and one of the first element is the second large. One of the first element is the second largest. Okay, utilizing the knowledge of this max heap. One of the first level element is the second largest. So now we know that the top element, the max element, is on the top, and the second largest would be in the next level, right? So till now what we are doing is that we are doing the heap sort by plucking the only top element, right? Then again creating the heap, and then again we are doing that. So now here the question is that since we know that the top element is there, the second top element means the second smallest element, the second top is there in this level, and we also know that last element, where is the last where is the smallest element? Smallest element would be in the bottom. So now your algorithm should take now 3 elements. You should take 3 elements at a time and then do sorting. Okay, at a time you should not take 1 element. You should pluck 3 fruits, right? 3 fruits at a time. So that's how from the tree you have to do that. So these are some of the ideas. Similarly, just to show you that the creative questions is possible, right? We can design and we can ensure that learning is happening during the examination or review test also. So same way, so now the here interesting study which I did is that, see, I taught the first same set of students in the first semester, and in the 4th semester I taught them the design and analysis of algorithms. Now I saw the quality of the work. See, in the first semester they were trained to do all these things, right? IEEE format, everything. And now when I started them teaching DACO, this design and analysis of algorithm course, I saw that the quality of the work, the quality of research content in the paper of the students was really enhanced. And you can see that if I show you those papers, you would see that this is already an IEEE, it is a publishable material. You would say that it can be submitted to some conference, right? So that is how the quality which we have to, and National Education Policy says that we have to come up with innovative ideas to enhance the quality, right? Enhance the quality of the human resource with whom we are associated, right? So that is not required. And this is a sample syllabus. Here you can see that morning, I think there was a discussion on formative assessment and summative assessment, right? So formative assessment, see here at IIIT Allahabad, like this is for your reference, that we have implemented CCLC ordinance, choice-based credit linked, okay, continuous assessment. That CCLC stands for continuous choice, and it is continuous assessment ordinance, which is already available in the web page. You can please go through it if you have time. So in this ordinance, this was implemented in 2018, much before the National Education Policy came in 2020, right? So we have been doing these things, okay? Formative assessment. And before this, I just want to tell you that before the IIIT Allahabad, these things were already present in University of Mysore in the Department of Studies in Computer Science, and this was the Department of Studies in Computer Science is doing these kind of assessments since the year 2000. Okay, so we can see that what is the gap in the 2000. These thinking process of this kind of assessment, flexible assessment, and all these things have already started in University of Mysore, and that. And now you can see that the whole Mysore University is following this continuous assessment. It is for all the courses. There are more than 56 departments, even the Sanskrit department, Hindi department, English department. Everyone has to follow this kind of formative and summative assessments. So, okay. So here you can see that usually this first 30 marks, we try to give this 30 marks in the first 8 weeks. In the first 8 weeks, we try to do different assessments. Now you can see that this is not a single test. This is every week the assessment would take place. Okay, so you can see here C11, C12, C13, C1, and something like that. So it would be something around 100, 120 or 80 something. Some marks will be coming in the whole 8 weeks. Okay, and now that whole 120 or 100 marks would be, or 80 marks. So it depends upon the teacher what kind of assessment the teacher would like to do. So that would usually I do some 90 to 120 marks I usually do, and then that should be mapped to 30. Okay, so the 30 marks is freezed in the first 8 weeks, and next 8 weeks another 30 marks would be freezed, and you can see that this is a formative. So the assessment is taking place as the concepts, as the learning is formed, right? As the concept is becoming somehow clear to the students. So we try to do assessment, and then this is 30, this is 30, and then finally this is a summative assessment, and that summative assessment weightage is 40 marks. Even though the students, if the student does not appear for the summative assessment, he is already attended 60 marks. He can simply skip away if he's interested. If he's not interested in attending C3 exam, he can skip. Simply he will pass if he has done good in that formative assessment, right? And that too, in these summative assessments, this it depends to whether to have this weightage. It depends, okay, how the teacher can bring the ideas. So some teacher would be interested in giving projects. Some teachers would be interested in taking Hacker Earth based test or coding contest. Like in our case, Introduction to Programming and Design and Analysis of Algorithms, we usually have one hackathon type of test in the course itself. So that would make the student more competitive, as well as they would try to learn the different aspects of the programming, right? So they should be able to implement within few hours or something like that. It is there. Okay. So here this is the pattern which we try to follow here. Yeah, so here first week no assessment, time to brush up the things and learn programming basics. Second and fourth week individual assessment to make everyone learn at the beginning. Fifth week onwards group assessment start. So this is, see, in the first second week and second to fourth week, what we do is we focus on individual student. We want everyone to be able to learn how to write, means how to do assignment, how to do coding, how to write a paper. So it is individual, means individually we make them work, and once they are capable of working individually, now we mix them in the groups. Okay, so that's how from fifth week onwards. See, this is the pattern I am following in my course, which may not be true in your course. So okay, so this is not a hard and fast rule, but this is what is the best practice which I am been following, and somehow these things keep on changing. Like during C1 assessment, I do not I give only assignment. Sometimes I do not conduct any test, just to make them student feel relaxed. Okay, in C2 I conduct review test along with assignment, so something like that. So it keeps on changing. So our strategies keeps on they keep on changing. Okay, so review test, we tell the students that at the end of the 8th week you will have a means review test, but sometimes we take, sometimes we don't take the review test. It depends upon the situation here. So here in the form of an so the assignment submission, we prefer that it should be submitted in the IEEE format. 2 to 4 pages maximum. It should not be more. It should not be less than 3 pages. It should not be more than 4 pages. So the student, whatever work he has done, he should be able to summarize the entire work within 3 to 4 pages. And whatever extra things, like you want to supply some any additional thing, additional or some other solution which which he or she has done, then they can attach it as appendix, right? So they can attach that appendix, and the source code which they have which they have written, that they can attach it as an appendix. But strictly, your whole idea should be summarized within 3 to 4 pages. Okay, so what is expectation in the IEEE format? A beautiful and meaningful title. We teach them how to frame a title, and authors, affiliation, abstract. We also tell them, we also give them feedback that how abstract should be. You see, in the first 2-3 assignment, students they don't do much well. Okay, so but as we keep on giving the feedback, and we see that the assignments in the C2 period, from the 9th week onwards, they get used to it, and they start doing very good. They write very good assignment papers. Okay, so this is in the introduction they have to explain what is the foundation of this problem, how it started, whether someone has already done solved this problem or not. All this thinking should happen here, and they should come up with the motivation that why you are going to solve this problem. All these things they should explain, and propose technique with problem illustration. Generally, they should explain. They should have some like, for example, searching. Sorting, searching, they have to have some numbers, and then try to explain them that how searching happens in every stage. All those illustrations, generalization, flow diagram, procedure they should write, and they should also carry out experiment. This is very, very important. Now analysis begins here. So once they have written the program, one thing is they have to do a priori analysis, and other thing is that they have to do a posteriori analysis. So a priori analysis is the theoretical time complexity, and now a posterior analysis is the practical time complexity. So in practical time complexity, he has to run the program. So initially, the student, for example, if I'm teaching introduction to programming, I do not go into the much details regarding the time complexity, because they are they're in the first semester. So what I tell them is that you don't give the time complexity, theoretical time, but give me the time complexity with respect to your machine. So when you run a program in Linux system, you or some online online tool, you would get the time your program has taken. So many. Now you run the same program for many number of times, right? It's for n number of times, and then you plot a nice smooth curve and show that what is the time complexity of this algorithm. So that's how. But I see that the students, since they go through the literature, they find the time complexity, all this theoretical, and interestingly, without even me teaching the theoretical time complexity, I see that their papers in the 4th, 5th, 6th assignment, they contain all these things. They even derive the time complexity. So that's how these things happen, and they have to write the conclusion and references. They have to include here. So here we try to tell them that you have to submit through the soft copy. And so here what I usually do is that I take EasyChair. I take the help of EasyChair. So EasyChair is a conference platform. I think you might be knowing. You might have submitted papers. So what I do is that I take assignments from the EasyChair, and then we have TAs here, so teaching assistant. So I give that same assignment for 2 or 3 TAs, and same assignment is evaluated by the 2-3 TAs, and they try to give me the feedback. Means they give the marks, and the total marks for this assignment would be sometimes the average of all the 3 TAs, or it would be the best of the 3 TAs, something like that. The strategy we try to do that. So feedback, so they have to give their comments that what is the feedback, and we send this comment to the student, and student if there is a time, then he tries to correct all those things and is resubmit his here. So here what we do is that like in the morning, sir was telling our director sir was telling about the transaction, right? So transaction happens during the tutorial hours. So what we do is that, see, first few tutorials we try to teach them the some tools or some topics which are very, very important. Some additional learning is happening, means we try to. But after that, what we do is that once the assignments are once they have done the assignment, they have to prepare a presentation. Okay, they have to prepare a presentation for the work, for the paper which they have prepared. And now what they do is that they have to see, the learning has already, some learning has already happened in the 1 week in the paper, right, in the form of a paper, writing a paper. Now they have to transform now the learning from the paper to the PPT, to the PowerPoint presentation. So now you can see that they would bring the contents, and now presentation is not same as the paper, because you should do organization and so many things, what to tell first, what to tell next, all those things comes into play. So the student now starts learning. So he has, through assignments, he has learned the writing, research, acknowledgement, and all these things he has tried to. Now if you make them work in groups assignment, so usually what we do is that when we usually we prefer group of 2, 3, sometimes 4, if the number of students are more, that time. But ideal is 2 or 3. Don't go beyond that. See here, what happens is that out of 3, when we make the student groups, we also ensure that we keep a slow learner, right? We know that this is a good student, this is the average student, and this is a slow learner. So you make a team of all these 3 such a way that the slow learner also grows along with the fast learner, right? So that's how you can apply your own strategies in making the groups, and that's how we make. And we know that out of 3, all 3 would not be working, right? So one would be working, and the other would be just managing. The third person would be just serving tea or coffee, right? So these things are very known, but ultimately as a team you should be ready for the presentation. Okay, so they present, and whatever the query we ask, the TS or the teacher asks, they try to respond, and they learn how to defend, how to present, and and they improve their communication skill. That is one. And now the third component, so paper is one component in a single assignment, 1 week's assignment. Paper writing is one component, and the presentation is second component. Third component is the demo or viva, something like that. So it depends. So in the demo, the student has to show that this is what is been done, and he has to correlate whether what he has done what analysis he has done in the paper. He should be able to clearly say. And if any changes asked, that you change this to this, you take this input, then he should be able to do that. So all things here. And now here, the interesting thing is that in the paper writing, what we try to do is that since it is a group work, we try to give that same marks for all the 3 students. We do not differentiate the best performer or the slow learner or the fast learner in the paper, because paper is a group work. Okay, if they submit as a group work, everyone will be appreciated. If they do not submit, everyone will be having means everyone will be scolded, something like that. So now in the presentation, it is we are assessing who has done how much work, right? So we ask questions, and then so your marks would vary in this presentation. Maybe in the demo or the viva voce, the marks. So the best performer gets the best marks, and the slow learner would get the average mark, decent marks, I can say. Okay. So here, yeah. So this is with respect to the with respect to this assignment. So I have taken some slides with respect to the introduction to program. First few slides I have taken just to give the idea that how we should try to correlate the things we teach and build your own content. See, I always tell the teachers to have your own content. Okay. See, try to go through some good book first level. Second level is that you go through some open course and very good teacher in the area, in the domain. You learn from the teacher, and then you start thinking in your own way, right? And then you build up the contents. So that's how it may be any course, right? It may be any course. So have your own content. That would give more confidence, and that gives you privilege of bringing the research components into that, right? And you will be able to teach more confidently. So here, just as an example, which I'm showing here, is that yeah, the computer science is about the problem solving. So what is the problem? So in computer science, a computational problem is a mathematical object representing a collection of questions, right? So it may be any mathematical object, right? So maybe a triangle, right? Point, something like that. Okay, a collection of questions. Okay, what is the distance between these 2 points? Okay, what is the formula for the midpoint? Something like that. Okay, what is the area of triangle? So this is a computational problem. This should be achieved through the computers, right? So that computer might be able to solve here. So a problem is characterized by, now when you tell a problem in computer science, a problem will usually have an input and it will have the output. So input is there, output is there. Now what you have to write, you have to find, so we should be able to transform the input into the output. So I take a simple example of here, a set of input instances. This is a problem will have set of input instances. This set is usually described in a generic input fashion, a task to be performed on the input instance. So input and some task to be performed. A very simplest example I'm giving is an addition of 2 numbers. Okay, so adding the number is my problem. So what is the input? Input is x and y, and what is the task? You add the number. So for that we have addition as an operation. So x plus y gives you the answer, right? Added answer. Similarly, you have the sorting problems. So sorting problems, what do we have? We have set of numbers. We have set of random numbers, right? So what is the task? The task is to arrange them in some fashion. Okay, maybe in ascending order, maybe in descending order, or in some random order, right? So see here, I can give one example. You can see that. See, we have always in this one, in a sorting problem, we have always asked the student to sort like this or sort like this, ascending order, descending order. So can we ask the student to sort like this? Okay, first is ascending order, descending order, ascending order, descending order, like this. Okay, something like that, some shape you give. You have to sort these numbers in this order. So these are some of the creative questions which we can try to come up with. So the process of working through the detail of the problem to reach a solution. A problem solving may include mathematical systematic operations, can be a gauge of individual critical. So all those things is possible. So problem solving is a core in computer science. Programmers must first understand how humans solve it. This is very 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 interesting, and we should always think that how humans are able to solve this problem. So same thing should be mimicked, right? Same thing, because we have to teach the computers how to solve. So then understand how to translate the algorithm, and now you're translating your idea into a computer solution is an algorithm, right? Into something the computer can do and you write specific syntax required by a computer to get the job done. It is how. So here, and now computer programmers are problem solvers. Okay, so one thing we should always tell that here. See, in our IIIT Allahabad, when our students come, I usually ask question that what do you want to become in your life. So I see that many students at IIIT Allahabad also, this more than 70 to 80% students say that I want to become a coder. I want to become a coder. I tell that, I finally convince them that no, your coding is not your job. Coding is a byproduct, but coding is not a problem solving. You become an algorithm designer, you become a problem solver, you become an algorithm, right? So all these things I try to convince them, and then finally they get convinced, and then they say that yes sir, this is we want to become a real engineer, we want to become a problem solver, right? So all those things are there. So later, see, coding is required, coding is a skill, coding is required to realize what is in your brain or what is the idea, right? So in PhD also same thing. We have some idea, now we want to make it practical, so we have to write, we have to do coding. So but our focus should not be purely on coding and leaving the problem solving. Problem solving is the core of the computer science, is the core competence of computer science engineers. So that should be really okay, it should be really portrayed. And in order to solve a problem on a computer, we must know how to represent. How to represent is what? It is a data structure problem. It is a data structure problem. It is a database problem. And how to determine the steps to transform. Transformation is an algorithm, right? It is a compiler, right? It is a system software, something like that. We should be able to bring up and create a curiosity. I usually give link whenever I teach this introduction to programming. I give link to all these courses like computer organization architecture, operating system, database management system, data structure, algorithms. I give them machine learning, right? The intelligent search, which the Kingfisher search algorithm, which I mentioned, is the best example for machine learning, right? Because we do first simplest learning is through the regression line. So all these things, ideas should be told to the students. And coming to the end of the presentation here, see, some teachers as well as the students, they find very difficult in coming up with their final year projects, right? So they say that, sir, can you give me some research problem? Can you give me some project problem? I say that, see, then what did you do for all these 4 years, 3 years? Okay, what you have done? Okay, so you have not learned anything. You have not find any problem. Then you're telling that you are a problem solver. It is not. So problems are everywhere. The thing is that we have to open our eyes and our consciousness, and then see that there are plenty of problems. So I have taken this slide just to show that there are plenty of problems. By this simple slide which I have explained, which I am showing it here, you can generate a lot of problems. Now in this image, okay, which is Sydney here, if I ask you a question, how much percentage of water can you see in this image? How much percentage of land is there in this image? What is the length of the bridge? Okay, what is the length of the bridge which you can see? Okay, how many small boats are there in this ocean? How many bigger boats, bigger ships are there in this ocean? How many multi-story buildings are there in this image? Is it not a problem? Is it not a project problem? Can't it be a research problem? Okay, can it not be taken as a project problem? It can be taken, right? So with this, I would like to end my lecture. So if there are some questions or any discussion, we can take it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. If there are any queries, you can put them in the chat box, or you can even unmute and ask them.
So good afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm audible, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for this wonderful delivery of the session. I was just going through and amazed at the structure of examples you were giving.
I just have this question, sir. Like, I am a management faculty.
Yes.
So, if there are some inputs which you could throw for us in the methodologies, it would be great. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So actually, in the month of June, Dr. Vanishi had arranged for one more lecture on this national education policy. So, but that was in the management institute only. So I gave this lecture on these assignments. So it was really appreciated by them that, see, through the assignments I am able to I'm able to teach them the leadership skills. Okay, the and build the confidential means the confidence and teamwork, right? So that's what the management is trying to focus, right? These means these topics means whatever the assignment we give, we should be able to extract, right? We should be able to get whatever we expect from the students. Okay, so you can design your own means the questions same in that manner, and then ensure that learning happens with them.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, like that.
Any more queries? Sir is ready to take them. You can put them on the chat box. Or
Yeah,
you
if
can
you have any discussion also, we can do, because still there is some time, right? We have 10 minutes.
So I just wanted to add upon the point,
Yeah,
like
please.
since you told that, I was just thinking like maybe because I am a programmer myself, I was trying to think whenever you were delivering, how can I do it for my management students? Maybe we can give some team assignments, as you said, like
Yes,
group
yes.
leadership or anything behavioral OB subjects we have. Okay, maybe in that line, if I'm thinking, am I still right, sir?
Yes. See. For example, I would tell you that you give a group assignment. And just keep the you give a group assignment in the classroom. Keep the camera. You don't watch. You just keep the camera on. Okay, and let the students interact or do the group assignment for 2 to 3 hours, something like that. Okay, 2 hour or 1 hour, something. Now you want to study the behavioral aspects, then definitely you can just see their body language, who is doing coding, who is doing discussion, more discussion, so something like that. Or you yourself can sit and just monitor, like you can ask some questions, whatever you are teaching, right? You're teaching in the classroom, suddenly you can tell that so and so student, please stand up. Just now I taught this topic, so can you please give me some example where this can be applicable? Okay, so we'll understand that what is his learning capacity and how much he understands. So all those things are possible. We can, and the type of assessment is purely dependent upon the teacher.
Okay,
And there
right, sir.
cannot be
Right.
any hard and fast that this is the, see, whatever I have presented today, this is what I have been doing. Maybe my idea is not suitable to you, maybe your idea is not suitable to me, so we have to do research in that.
Definitely, sir.
We
Thank
have
you,
to
sir.
do research.
Thank you, sir.
any more queries, please feel free to
Yeah,
ask.
see, if there is any feedback also, please try to give it to me. If any
Yes.
feedback, if any participant wants to give me the feedback, because I am also learning every now I have presented things in front, I shared my experience in front of you. I have learned many things when I'm presenting, so that's very interesting. And if you can share some more of your good practices, then definitely I would also learn, and it would be very nice. Or any comment, any feedback on my means the topics which I have touched upon, it would be welcome.
Good evening. This is Ashok.
Yes, good evening, sir. Ashok, sir. Good evening, sir.
Could you please throw some light on project-based learning pertaining to computer science?
Project-based learning. See, project itself is a, see, project is like throwing the student into the some river or some ocean like that. He has to see. But defining and giving what kind of project the student has to do, it depends upon the teacher. Okay, the giving the problem statement is one, and second one is, because teacher is already experienced. Now I'll tell you my own example. Okay, I will share you my own example. I started working in IIIT Allahabad in 2018. I joined here. So as soon as I joined here, I was given the course Computer Organization and Architecture. So I was teaching, and I came across some two good students. And then I called them into my cabin, and they told that, okay, so you are a very good student, and then I would request you that you can spare some time, 2 hours or 3 hours per week or something like that, and do some work on some research problem. They are second semester. Please remember, they are second semester students. Okay, BTech. And now I'm telling that I will give you some problem, and let us try to work out. Whenever you're free, you can just come to my cabin and interact, and this one. So I gave them problem. So first problem, it was very very difficult, and they could not understand. They told that, okay, we have to do a lot of reading this thing. Okay, then I changed the problem there, and when I changed the problem, then again they started. So in that second topic which I gave them, they started feeling very much interested, and within 1 month, that it was a summer vacation, and within 1 month, one student has done a really wonderful work, and now that work is in the third semester. He wrote a paper. He said, because already paper writing is already explained to him, everything he knows. He started writing wonderful paper. He wrote, and that paper went into a journal. And within 1 month, I got one SCI publication. You know that, I think you might be knowing that coming up with an SCI publication in good journal is very, very difficult unless your problem is very novel. So that's how this happens. It is from the both side, not from the, if you want to, if you want good result, then the work should be from both sides. Ashok sir, it should be from the teacher as well as from the student. Teacher should be able to create good problems, give it to the students, and students should be able to take it and do it, and teacher should motivate it, and then nice, wonderful product comes.
Thank you.
So always mentor is required, and guidance is required. Without that, it is not possible.
Yes, any more queries?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hello,
Chitra Shekhar, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Chitra Shekhar, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, I will
Shekhar,
attract the students for problem-solving situations, because if you give the problem for students, they are not showing interest.
But see, for that, what you have to do is that your lecture, we should during the lectures, we should try to inculcate the interest. Like we should, for example, we know that they are more interested into the jobs, right? You tell them that the company is asking these questions, and all these things. You require programming skills, you require problem solving skills. Definitely you would be very much interested. So I have an additional query, this one, the extrapolated question is that, like for example, we teach introduction to programming or C programming to computer science. Teaching a programming course for computer science is justified, but teaching a computer science program, I think in our engineering colleges, we teach for civil engineers, we teach for mechanical engineers. How do we justify there? It becomes very, very difficult. So we should be able to, when we are teaching introduction to programming or the first semester, second semester courses are usually in all engineering branches, they are same, right? Almost they are similar. So we should be, even not only computer science, we should be able to convince mechanical engineer, we should be able to convince civil engineer that you should study programming, because without programming, no CAD will work, and no your everything, right? Your all design, everything is computer programming only. And I'm very happy that Jivartana, right? Jivartana is from management, but she is telling, madam is telling that madam is very good in programming. So that's really wonderful. Okay. See, programming is required by everyone. And the famous quote of our this one, the Apple founder, Steve Jobs, he said that, I think there in the internet you can see his quotes. He said that if you want to make your imagination reality, if you want to make your imagination reality, then you must learn coding. Because through coding only, whatever you think can be practical, means can be made practical, right?
Sir, any
So,
assignments we can give attractive assignments for students?
yeah, you should
Any
see.
types?
So that's what the whole lecture I tried to explain you, that you have to create an something. See, you have to find out what is the quality of students. That is very, very important. See, because I might be talking with respect to the student quality, with respect to IIIT Allahabad, who are all IIT JEE, right? Clear that my ideas may not work for you, right? So you might be teaching in some other college where the student quality. So you understand the student quality, and then accordingly you chop your courses, you build your courses, assignments, everything, and then definitely that would be possible.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other queries?
Okay, Sangeeta madam is asking, sir, can you please suggest ways that help a student to identify a problem? See, so this is very, very difficult, this one task for the student, but for the teacher it should be easy, because the teacher, see, usually what I suggest is that the head of the department or the principal, they should ensure that the teacher, suppose a teacher is teaching introduction to programming, you should allow the teacher to teach introduction to programming at least for 2-3 times. Okay. So then only the expertise will be developed on the course. Not that every time you change the course and then you try to build up, means you change the course and then you take the other course. So expertise will not come. See, you can generate problems only when you become expert in a subject. Okay, and that requires research effort. So for the students, it is student has to take your help. The teachers help to come up with a good problem. Okay, you must help. So some students are very good. They go through internet, they go through MIT, Stanford, and all these things. They search and they come up with the problem. See, usually what happens when see, I get two type of students. Means the project students here in IIIT Allahabad, we have a internship, not internship, it is a mini project in 5th semester, 6th semester, 7th semester, 8th semester, they have their full project. So when the student, when the group of students, they come to me, I tell them, do you have any problem statement? I don't tell them, I will give the problem statement. First I tell them, do you have any problem statement? They tell that no. Then I tell them, you please go through the internet. If you feel whichever problem statement is good, you bring to me, let us discuss. So they go back and they do all kind of searching and they come up with 3-4 problems. Then I go through it. Then I say that, okay, can you do this one, this one, this one? So sometimes they say that no. And see, even I am knowing that these problems are old or this problem are new. So I would ask them accordingly. So my learning also happens with them. And sometimes if I'm not satisfied with all these 4 or 5 problems, I give them my own problem. I tell them, this is what in my area I'm working. You please solve this problem. This will be a very good problem. It will definitely result in a conference paper or some journal. So that's how I do. So we should take the interest of student also. Is it okay, Sangeeta madam?
Yeah. Yeah, Javed, I think you answered very well, and all the questions have been addressed.
Ma'am, so we lost the connection.
Go ahead, Javed. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, Javed, Dr. Mohammed Javed. There seems to be some connectivity problem at Professor Javed's end. Does anybody have any other queries we can discuss now? Yeah, Professor Javed is back. If anybody has any other question, you may ask.
Ma'am, attendance.
Yeah, there was some problem, sorry, from my side.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening. Regarding attendance, we've taken
Yes.
care of it. It's an automated system, so when based on randomly, it will record your attendance. You don't have to bother. So if you're attending, that's fine. Okay. We look forward.
Okay.
So feedback will be given on the last day of the FDP, right?
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other queries regarding Mr. Dr. Mohammed Javed's lecture? You may post your questions or you can unmute and ask.
Ma'am, recorded sessions will be shared to us.
You'll be given links, but right now we haven't created the YouTube link yet. As soon as we do it, it will be posted in the group. Yeah. Professor Javed, should we wrap up? Shall we wrap up, Professor Javed? Okay. I think again this connectivity problem at Dr. Javed's end. So I thank Dr. Mohammed Javed for the wonderful and insightful session. Chandan, you can wrap up.
Yeah. So by this, we'll be concluding the third session of the 5-day FTP. Thank you so much. And we'll be looking forward for all of you for the next 4 days, the coming 4 sessions, 4 days. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I hope the teaching fraternity present here will take maximum benefit out of Dr. Mohammed Javed's lecture. And thanks Chandan Dev for handling the session. Let's all meet tomorrow at 9 a.m. For an expert lecture by Professor T.N. Nagbhushan. That's all for now. We shall be wrapping up. And if you have any queries related to attendance, let me tell you, it's an automated system, so attendance will be recorded. And if we do not have session-wise feedback or day-wise feedback, we'll be giving at once on the last day. And hope all of you are making use of all the sessions here. All of them are very interesting, and hope you attend and hope you maintain 80% of the attendance. And you'll have a quiz on the last day. So scoring 60% is mandatory to procure the certificate. So 80% of attendance and 60% of marks in quiz will allow you to get the certificate from AICTE. Hope you all had a good day. Thank you so much. Hoping to see you tomorrow exactly at 9 o'clock. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.